So let me give you some context. This is going to be a very different video. I'm going to be commentating over an insane game of Apex that me and my friends had. But the reason I'm commentating is because my stream had a problem that I still don't know what it is. But basically, you can't hear Ryan or Silas's audio when watching it back. So I've decided to commentate over the game and explain our decision making and just kind of what happened. So hope you guys enjoy, and I will now commentate. For this game, I chose my main lifeline, of course. Silas chose Wraith, and Ryan went Octane. So we started this match with activating the gravity lifts for the Horizon event. So Silas and I went to Skyhook while Ryan went to Refinery. We all got our gravity lifts, and Ryan met us at Skyhook. We looted up, ran into nobody, so we left Skyhook, and I was equipped with an R301 and Wingman. We headed into Ring, where Ryan found a care package with Kraber. He's by far the best with it, so we left it in his hands. So now he was running Havoc Kraber. Anyway, we headed over to Trainyard, where we ran into our first fight. This squad had major high ground in this fight, so we took some cover behind some crates, which we'll use a lot later. And we were getting hit hard, but luckily Ryan got a knock on the Caustic early on, and when the Mirage went to revive his teammate, I rushed in, I downed the Mirage, and Ryan got the Caustic. 2 down, 1 to go. So this solo was still on the high ground, so Ryan jump-headed to finish him off. I never found the Mirage that I downed, although he definitely self-rezzed, because at the end of the game I never had a single counted kill, so I never actually got the kill. Which sucks because I really could have used a shield swap here. But I grabbed my blue back and healed up for the next fight. These people had come out of the stairs across the tracks, and the fight began. Ryan got an early knock on one with a Kraber shot, but since their teammates kept firing, we couldn't exactly follow up. Once we knew where all of them were, Silas and I pushed in while Ryan came after medding. Silas ended up in their line of sight first and was lasered by 2 of them, so he went down. I started at a res and threw a couple of wingman shots their way. I ended up cracking one, but another squad had come up the stairs and got the knock on Ryan, who ended up in the middle of it. However, I managed to down 2 from the original squad anyways. Those 2 ended up being rezzed because, like I said, I didn't have any kills. The new team from the stairs started firing at me, so I naturally ran for my life because I was very low. And in the meantime, Silas had ported to get to Ryan, so Ryan could get away, so we could all res and be fine. And then when he finished the port, he was jumped by someone from a squad that it gets messy, but I don't really know. I went down and I thought it was all over until the enemy took the port away because Styles was low on health, but he still had shields. So he rezzed me, I rezzed Ryan, and we all healed up, which is when I noticed I was low on shields. The death box had no shields, so I was left with what I had. Ryan and I went to go take high ground, where Silas would join us later. At this point, there were 4 squads left. We spotted some people moving to the big building next to us, so we figured that would be our next fight. So I kept an eye on them. I went to throw an arc star at them after shooting at them for a little bit, and ended up getting stuck on the outside. Just couldn't find the door frame, I guess, which nearly killed me. It left me at 1 health, so I went into the corner and tried to heal, and I got a good amount of health along with Silas, but they threw a frag, and this is where it got a little crazy. So if I left this spot, they would have shot me and I would have died. But since I was lifeline, I had just enough time to heal and survive the frag with 1 HP. In the meantime, Ryan had gotten a Kraber pick. We decided to try and avoid their peaks, Silas and I, and that's when a squad behind us started firing at us. It was hard to tell if it had been a squad we had already fought or a new one. But Silas had gotten to 1 HP right before getting a medkit off, which was pretty clutch. But we fled to Ryan anyways. On the way, I took heavy fire, but luckily there was a shield swap. At this point, I was down to just 5 cells, and we made our decision to run. We still took shots on the way, but we had made it to cover and were allowed to rest and heal. At this point, we were low on shields, all of us, so we figured we'd only engage in fights if necessary. 3 squads left. We had some rocks and crates for cover, but the ring was the worst one we had seen that day. No cover. And the other squads already had high ground. So I ran over to crates with Ryan while Silas stayed back at the rocks. In the meantime, Ryan had cracked one with a Kraber shot, but we couldn't follow up. The ring was about to close, but I had spotted a crate with cover, so Ryan and I went there and then went to the very last crate in ring. Silas had gone right and forward, so he was basically in train yard and ran face first into a squad. He had made it back alive, but now our position was compromised. We were pinned down by both squads, now with no real cover, because it was either one side or the other. So I made a run for Ryan's old jump pad. I made it away with literal 2 health. If that jump pad wasn't there, I would have been knocked easily. While in the meantime, Silas was able to port Ryan and himself over from the fire that I took, and we were safe for now. After healing, I had 1 shield cell left. We hoped and hoped for a third-party opportunity, but it just wasn't going to happen. So I looked for a spot in the ring that we could go to. Just a tiny bit of this hallway was in the ring, but it was not enough to be viable. Plus, there was more outside to be looked at. We would be open to one squad, but closed to the other underneath this train car. This final fight was the worst it could have been. I had barely walked into ring, but I chose to syringe over drone. At this moment, the squad right above us started to peek and hurt me bad. So the squad above started to rush. One fell down and got a knock on Silas, while one peeked Ryan, which was a huge mistake because he had hit all of his Kraber shots so far, including this one. The Pathfinder from, let's just say, Squad 2. Squad 2 is the one in the train car. Squad 1 is the one on top of the roof. Keep it at that. So the Pathfinders from Squad 2 dropped and died pretty fast to Ryan and I, but that's when one of the squad members from Squad 1 peeked me, and I went down. Well, it was all up to Ryan, and one quickly dropped down to finish off Ryan. He was cracked with half health, but still managed to knock and finish off Squad 2. He ran for the only cover left, my knockdown shield, which was still full health. In the meantime, Silas tried to pop a self-res, but he was finished off. While that was happening, Ryan got a crucial shield swap to full red, and we backed up. We knew that the last 2 guys were above, but we had no idea if one would drop down or just peek us. But the Octane dropped down. I'm not sure, but it looked like the Octane didn't know where we were at first, but moments later, he'd start shooting, and it was on. Ryan peeked and ended up getting a knock on him with half health and a half shields, while I decided to save my knockdown shield for this last guy. At this point, the very last enemy had shielded and healed, so this was going to be super hard to win. So far, my knockdown shield had only taken 50 damage, which was pretty good, and it was still cover for Ryan. Once he got behind me, he accidentally stepped into the ring for not even half a second, but was now down to a quarter of his health and about half shields. At this point, the Pathfinder had dropped, and the final fight was on. My knockdown shield had quickly taken over 150 damage. I could not tell you for the life of me how much of that would hit Ryan and what health he'd be left at, but Ryan kept on hitting his shots and eventually pulled off the most clutch fight ever. With only 25 HP and 10 HP on shields, a total of 35 HP, he had knocked him. We won. We looked around at all of the red boxes thinking about what just happened. Ryan was shaking so hard, he had just squad wiped the last 2 squads. Basically, I think there was one where one of them knocked one of them, but I don't know. And all 3 of us just freaked out. This win was the definition of hard fought. Worst final ring, no shields, no high ground, unpredictable opponents, all with red evo, and Ryan at the end was short of 2 teammates and left with 1 measly piece of cover. This game just proves to us how clutch Ryan is in our games. His quick reaction time and decision making is why we won that game. It was also his first 2K game on Octane. Definitely well deserved. I don't really know how to give a good outro to this video, so I'm probably just gonna roll a Sea of Thieves clip at the end of us scuttling our ship or something. But thank you all so much for watching. I really enjoyed this different style of video, and I can't wait to see what I have for the future. I went lifeline. Funny joke.